Back now on Newsmax Prime, we're going to continue our discussion about the Middle East. And to do so, I'm so pleased to be rejoined here on the anchor desk by Middle East expert Dr. Robert Rabil, a professor at Florida Atlantic University, and joining us from Newsmax, New York, the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, David Rubin. David is also the author of Peace for Peace, Israel in the New Middle East. David, let's begin with you. The new Middle East, well, the situation is confusing and dangerous to say the least. Before you joined us, we were talking about the upcoming Gulf Arab Summit at Camp David. The Saudi king is not coming, neither is the leader of Bahrain. Is the Obama foreign policy, in your view and the view of Israel, essentially imploding?
Yes, the problem here can be summed up in one word: Iran, Iran, Iran. And the Saudis and the other Persian Gulf countries are very, very concerned about Iran. Paradoxically, they are siding very clearly with Israel on this issue of Iran's nuclear race.
Well, in this situation that David is talking about, Robert,
yes,
Iran is the big problem. Do you share David's assessment?
Yes, absolutely. I share David's assessment, and it's a regional concern now. Iran and Saudi Arabia and the others Gulf and Israel, and they have now converged interests.
Do you believe behind closed doors there have actually been consultations between the Israeli government and the Saudis?
I don't think that it's a misnomer to use the word alliance. There is a covert alliance between Saudi Arabia and Israel on this issue. The Saudis aren't stupid. They are not able to publicly announce that they are in alliance with Israel, that they're working together with Israel behind the scenes, but it's clear. The Saudi Arabia and some other Persian Gulf countries are very, very concerned about the Iranian nuclear program, and they want it to be stopped. The Israelis are very concerned and want it to be stopped. And the Obama administration is sort of dilly-dallying with this issue and rushing full speed ahead with an agreement that is absolutely destructive and is going to enable Iran to get the nuclear bomb.
Robert, has the United States essentially abdicated a leadership position in the Middle East, even with the upcoming Gulf Arab Summit?
Okay, I would look as they pursued somehow a feeble foreign policy in the Middle East. I wouldn't say abdication. I wouldn't use the other words. I would say a feeble foreign policy on account of the platform of the administration. Let's not forget why he came, how he presented himself. So mainly he's acting based on his beliefs. And his beliefs somehow, and the way he approached foreign policy, don't sit well with our regional allies, whether Israel or the GCC countries.
Robert, let me follow up, because very early in the Obama administration,
yes,
our president was overseas,
yes,
was seen bowing to the
yes,
then Saudi potentate. Yes. Do you think he interprets King Salman saying he's not coming as a personal rejection?
Well, it could be, yes. It could be. It's a good point. It could be. But let me add. I said it might be a snub, but it is not a way to not to go to the meeting. And this is why I mentioned they sent senior level associated with the king.
Kept it all in the family, understood. Exactly. Before our time completely runs out, I want to turn back to David at Newsmax, New York. David, of course, is the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. No stranger to politics. Now, the Netanyahu government, the new coalition government, David, is it united, and what signal is it sending to the United States, to Iran, and to others in the region? About a minute.
Well, the new government is united and it's divided. There are different components in the coalition. I think that there are two main issues that we need to be focused on as concerns this new coalition in Israel. And those two issues are Iran and Israeli communities in Judea and Samaria, the so-called West Bank. Those are the two main issues that we need to be focused on, because I think that there is enough backing for Prime Minister Netanyahu to launch a preemptive strike on Iran within his coalition. This is something that he hasn't had in the past two governments.
David, when we hear your words and you say that this new coalition government is united in the notion of a preemptive strike, that gives some people some pause. Do you expect it will come down to your nation having to launch a preemptive strike against Iran?
Frankly, JD, I don't see any other option. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but I don't see any other option. Sanctions, regardless of what the Prime Minister is saying for public consumption, sanctions are not working, haven't worked, and won't work. At this point, it's too far gone, and they are going full speed ahead with their program. They need to be stopped. And sometimes the military solution is the only solution.
And on that note, we will have to end it. And there is more coming up. So stay with us here on Newsmax Prime.